Hey YouTube, Natchez 860. Enjoying some Pegasus in a 673. Got a 2-for-1 for you today. 2 stories in one. The retirement community I work in had been open. I think we were in our 2nd year. And this woman moved in, late 60s, early 70s. And she was very eccentric. Mouth was always going. People couldn't stand her. And she also happened to be a Christian Science believer. No doctors, no medicines. Really crazy. So, this one day, she shows up at the front desk with a glass of water. Now, the front desk in any retirement community is like the hub of activity. It's where everything goes on. People checking in, phone calls coming in, various bits of business being transacted there. So the residents learn early on that if they want to get the scoop on any news, that's where to be. So you always see residents sitting in a lobby of a retirement community near the front desk. Anyway, this lady has this glass of water. She tells the person at the desk, the water smells. Must be something in it. I just happened to be walking by and I caught this. People who were sitting in the lobby, cranking up their hearing aids, trying to get a piece of what's going on here. Person at the desk smells the water. Executive director comes out. He smells the water. He has me smell the water. Marketing person smells the water. Everybody's smelling this water. Before you knew it, everybody smelled something, but they didn't know what it was. This turned into a big deal. Something in the water. So, my boss said, you got to see if you can get to the bottom of what this is. So I had a guy that used to come in every month, treated the heating system with an anti-corrosive chemical. Called him up. I said, hey, I got something going on. You got to come over. So he went through everything he was doing and determined to my satisfaction that it wasn't anything that he was doing because it was a closed system and it had nothing to do with the domestic water. He says, you know what it could be? Could be your sprinkler system. Back in those days, the the code for sprinkler systems didn't require a backflow device. Really, the only way you could have any crossover from that system was if there was some catastrophic disaster with the city's water system. Would have affected everybody, and was determined that that wasn't an issue either at that time. So the main office suggested that we tell everybody not to drink the water till we get it tested. Took the water out, had it tested, took like 2 days. In the meantime, we had to order like 40 cases of bottled water, a bunch of 5-gallon jug water stations. Everybody was all in a dither. Test results came back normal. But it was like 2 or 3 days of hell. So we got through that whole situation. About 6 months went by, and this lady announced to everybody that she was going on this cruise. Always wanted to go on this cruise. I think it was to the Mediterranean for like 2 weeks. Everybody was so happy to see her go. But when she came back 2 weeks later, hardly anybody recognized her. She looked like death warmed over. I remember dark underneath both of her eyes. She looked like she had been put through the ringer. Everyone suggested that she go and see a doctor. And of course, that was against her religion, so that didn't happen. The apartments get cleaned by our staff once a week, and it happened to be her cleaning day this one day. The housekeeper goes in and found the woman expired. So they checked the records, found out who the contact person was for her, called up and said, hey, you know, Mrs. So-and-so passed away. Well, it turns out, usually the contact person is the person's family, but this woman had no family. She had put down a member of her church as the contact person. When they called this lady up, she had no idea what was going on. And they said, oh, by the way, it's your responsibility to vacate the apartment for the deceased. This lady was like, hey, I didn't sign up for this, and I don't know anything about it, and yada yada. And well, they kept pushing her and said there was nobody else to do this. So she said, well, I can probably have some members of the church come over with me, and we can take care of moving her out. So like 4 or 5 church members show up this one afternoon. They're up in the apartment. Nobody was really paying attention to what they were doing. I got a call from the kitchen telling me that the trash compactor, which is right around the corner from the kitchen, had been running for 45 minutes, which is unusual because it usually cycles and stays off for a while. I grab my assistant and we go down to the compactor room, opened up the door, and there was this lady's stuff all over the place. The church people had decided to move her out by throwing all her stuff down the trash chute. My compactor room had dresses all over it, cooking ware, bed linens, bath linens, shower curtain, stools, chairs. Anything they could fit down the trash chute was in there, and it was all over the place because the compactor couldn't keep up with it. My assistant said, if she had just gone to the doctor, none of this would have happened. That was about the funniest thing I had heard, given the view of the room with all this junk all over it. So the word got out that the compactor room was now full of all this lady's stuff, books and you name it. And it ended up turning into like this huge garage sale. All the staff were in there loading stuff from the dumpster into their car. What a fiasco. But when I think about her, all I can remember is all the trouble she started with the hot water. That's my story about our hot water. Thanks an awful lot for joining me. We'll catch you in the next video.